Hi, welcome to another edition of Conversations on Hope. I'm Jana. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't tell you how giddy I was when I heard that our guest today was coming, and she agreed to talk to me on the program. She has such a wonderful story, amazing story, that this is just a real treat. So I want to welcome Rose Bugusu.
Thank you.
She has come from the western region of Kenya, Africa.
Yes.
And we are so excited to have you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to jump right in about your story. You run an orphanage for abandoned, basically, unfortunately, unwanted children in the rural area of Kenya that you live in.
Yes.
And then you have also built that orphanage into a school as well, where you have a lot of kids coming to you and then going home, but we'll go into that a little bit. So we're just going to jump right in and have Rose tell us her story.
Well,
how did it start?
Thank you for having me. And I'm the director and founder of Tumaini Miles of Smiles Center. And this came into my heart when I was 15 years old. And this actually came up because of the life that I led as a child in the rural areas. I'm a sixth born, and I'm the last born of a family of 6. And I came from a very poor family. My dad and my mom didn't have an opportunity to work, so they were just peasant farmers. And my siblings, they didn't have an opportunity to join high school. And they finished primary school. But finishing primary school, they were kind of, working in farms. I started working in the farm when I was 9 years old. And this money that I earned, sometimes I gave mom half of it, and half of it I would use on my school supplies and my school uniform. And when I finished my primary school, I wasn't able to join high school. My sisters had gone to the city and they were working just as house helps. Actually, what they were earning was less than $50 per month. And so when my sister came to the rural areas, I was like, okay, I've finished my primary school. Maybe you could take me to the city. I look for a job, a house help job. My sister was like, Rose, you are our last born. That means we will all end up not even joining high school. Give me some time. I go to Nairobi. I see if I can find just a cheap school, which maybe they can allow me to be paying school fees monthly, because I can not afford to pay on a semester basis. And so she went to Nairobi. After 2 weeks, my mom received this letter, and my sister had actually found this school. And so I was supposed now to go to Nairobi, and that was my first time to go to the city. And I was about 14 years old. I had never even worn flip-flop or even shoes. And I went to Nairobi just like that. And I only had my school uniform, because that was actually like my Sunday best, and it was a school uniform. So we went, my mom talked to some businesswomen, and I went to Nairobi, and I met my sister. My sister had flip-flops because she knew my situation. And I had my flip-flops on, and then we went to the house. After 2 days, I had an orientation, because that was my first time to go to the city, and then we went to school. I was admitted in school. And while I was in Nairobi, I accepted Christ. And so, after 2 years, I went back home to visit my parents. And when I went home, my parents were very, excited to see me. I was also excited to see my parents. But back in the rural areas, I had a very dear friend. We used to work together in the farms. And I really wanted to visit. And I made sure that I visited her the same day I arrived. When I visited my friend, my heart broke. Because my friend was the firstborn in the family. They were very poor like us. But she didn't have anyone to help her join high school. And so within the 2 years, she had a baby. I looked at the baby. I was very excited, but the baby was actually just in rags. She didn't even have a towel. And I cried. I didn't want to show her that I was very sorry. But when I went back to my mom, I was like, Mom, I appreciate what my sister has done for me. Just sacrificing part of the $50 she earns every month to pay for my school fees. Maybe one day I will come back to the rural areas and help the poor, and just to help them and support them. And I said that because in the city, I realized that, the poor were getting support. Some of them, we were in the same school and they were being sponsored.
They were being sponsored.
Yes, but back in the rural areas, there is nothing like that. And that is why even my siblings couldn't go to school. And so my mom laughed. I was like, Rose, we are poor. I don't know how you will do it, but I will pray for you anyway. I was like, yes. Yeah, and because I had accepted Christ, and I was, my mom was a very prayerful woman, and I think I adopted that. And so I was like, yes, prayers are good. I went back to Nairobi. I finished my high school, but my sister didn't have enough money to pay for my college. I had committed myself to church, and I was really helping where I could in the church. And so there are some missionaries who had Bible school, and they came to our church, and they were like, okay, they requested our pastor if he could, just get one person who could join the Bible school. And my pastor actually came to me and was like, Rose, do you want to seek God and join a theology school? And I was like, why not? I was so excited. So, and plans were made, and I joined this Bible school. When I joined the school, there's a Canadian woman who came, and we were just in the morning devotion, and she came to me and she was like, Rose, God is telling me to pay for your school fees.
Wow.
And so that is how I joined the Bible school. Then
in college.
In college. And when I was there, I told my principal that I have a heart for children. And so every Thursday he would buy for me bread, and I would go to the streets and just feed the street children. After that, I went back to Nairobi. I continued to help in the church while I was going to I was doing secretarial training.
Secretarial training.
Yes.
Okay, so you were kind of a bookkeeper,
yes,
so to speak, after college or during college?
I did secretarial training after my Bible school.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And then after that, after my Bible training, I got this job. I requested my pastor if I could go and at least look for a job, and he said yes. And I had this job in an accounting firm as a secretary. And I said, thank you, God. My first salary, I went back home. I shared with my parents, but then I visited my friend. And I was like, okay, her child had just started school. And I was like, okay, I'll be helping where I can. So, I would just buy like school supplies, school uniform, whenever it's needed. And in my neighborhood, there were children who had lost their parents. By that time, I think there was this AIDS thing, and people were just dying. We didn't have any medication. So, and when I saw that, I was like, I was helping. Every Christmas, I would go home. We would sometimes share, food or a meal, and people didn't know what I was doing. So one day, I was like, I think I have to go back to the village and, share my vision. So I went to the village and I invited people. I went to my chief, and I did, he gave me some names of maybe teachers and pastors, because I knew, teachers were on payslip. And so I invited them. And then when they were excited, to hear what I wanted to tell them. So when they came, we had a meeting. I had some sodas and biscuits. And I shared with them my life and my background, and I told them that I have a vision. I want us to help the poor and the orphans. And they were so excited. They were like, Rose, who are your donors? And I was like,
Who are your donors? They were basically, how is this going to happen?
Yeah, they thought someone had, sent me to them. Yeah. And I said, I don't have any donors. It's just me and the vision and God. So, and the reason why I'm sharing with you, I know some of you are teachers, some of you are pastors. We can come together. I want to start this school. But if you bring in your children and pay something, at least the poor and the orphans will have an opportunity to have free education. And they were like, okay, well, you've not started the school yet. But Rose, thank you for sharing the idea, but we will pray for you. And I said, yes, prayers are sometimes powerful. Yes. And they prayed. And then I became nervous. I was like, now I've shared with the villagers and I have no money to start anything. But I started, just praying and asking God for wisdom and how to go about it. I shared with friends in Nairobi. And by that time I was doing feeding program in the slums. When I get my salary over month end, I would just buy food and share with the children in the slums. I stopped that program. And then I went...
Because with the idea of your vision...
Starting a school.
Saving money to start this school back in your village.
Yes.
From nothing.
Yes.
This was the seeds that, along with prayer, is how you started this. Okay.
Amen. So I went back to the village. I looked around. There was a house just in the market. And this house, the owner was not using the house. I approached him and I asked him if he could lease that house, and he said yes. And I asked him how much, and he told me $600 per year. And I asked him if he would allow me to pay in installment. He said yes. And then how much? And he was like, okay, you need to pay $200 as the first installment, and then you can see how to go about it. Yeah. And then I didn't have $200 by that time. I was like, okay, please, don't rent this house out. Give me 3 or 4 months, then I will come back. Yeah. So I went back to Nairobi. I continued working and saving. After 2 weeks, I had my in-law who had requested me to stay with her daughter. She wanted her daughter to come to the city so that she could do the hairdressing training. And so she calls me and she tells me, oh, Rose, I'm sorry, my daughter is not coming. And I was like, what happened? Have you changed your mind, or has she changed her mind? And she was like, she's pregnant. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. And then I wanted to hang up, and she was like, Rose, can you do me a favor? And I was like, I hope it's not abortion. And she was like, no. And then she was like, you know, actually the money I wanted to pay for the training is a loan, and I don't want to spend this money because I want her to, to go back to school after she has given birth to her baby. So I'm just requesting if you could keep for me this money. So when we will be ready, she'll just come to Nairobi and you will be able to pay the fees. And I said, yes. And in my heart, I knew that was an answered prayer because it was $200 that I needed.
So you needed $200.
Yes.
Your friend had the $200 in a loan that she was willing to give to you, not knowing what you needed it for.
She didn't know.
But she was going to use that for her daughter down the road. She couldn't use that immediately.
Yes.
So here you go. You have this
an answered prayer.
An answered prayer to start this, the orphanage.
Yes. She then sent her son to bring the money. When the son brought the money, I paid for my first installment. After that, I started now preparing the house. The money that I had saved from my feeding program, I went and hired someone, bought some wood, and this guy started working on the desks. I bought some plywood, the black paint, and those were my blackboards. And then 2005, I visited some churches. I told them that I was starting a school, and I was requesting them to give me maybe 2 orphans. I visited about 10 churches, 10, 15 churches. And then I advertised that I needed teachers. So they came.
So you needed teachers?
Yes. So I'm not a teacher by profession, but I interviewed them anyway. And I had 4 who accepted. And I was like, I'm starting this school, but I will be sharing my salary with you. and with the children that we'll have. I thank God, I mean, through prayers, at least they accepted. And so 2006, I was like, okay, we are ready for admission. I wasn't expecting many children, but actually we had 80 children.
80 children in the first?
Yes.
Week, month?
It was just like, I set just like 1 day for admission.
So within 1 day, you had 80 kids show up, needing a roof over their head, and you have this little tiny house.
Yeah. By that time, it was not a home, it was just a school.
Just a school.
Yes.
So you had started the school, but 80 kids.
Yes.
That had no place to go.
I was like overwhelmed. I was like, God, I don't know. But then I had no, otherwise, I mean, I've put out the word that I want to help the poor.
Yeah.
So they were in school. I went to buy I bought some food. I mean, our staple food is ugali, but I couldn't.
A staple food meaning something that you eat every day?
Yes, every day. And so I had maize and beans. And then
maize is like corn?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I had my teachers. My friends had donated some books that their children were not using. And then I started. It was kindergarten through 2nd grade. And the school started. So I had to go back to Nairobi, work and support the school. And I would come every other weekend. So I would travel from Nairobi, it's 8 hours to 9 hours drive by bus. So I would board the bus Friday night, get home Saturday morning, meet with the head teacher, a little bit of the children. Sunday evening, I'm on the bus. Monday morning, I'm at work.
You're back at work?
Yes.
8 hours every weekend?
Yes.
Wow.
And then after that, after 6 months running the school, I went home. I was on leave. So I just wanted to go there and spend time with the children, get to know them, and, you know, just like relax and continue asking God. I mean, God, is this what you want me to do? Am I on the right track? And within that, the 21 days that I had, second week, a lady came in the office. We had a tiny office. And she was like, okay, is Matroba here? And I was like, of course, yes. Why? And she was like, Matroba was not at home last night, so I really don't know where she spent the night.
This is your friend's daughter?
I mean, is a student in the school.
Yes. Oh, a student in the school, right.
And then I was like, okay, go home. I will take care of that, and I will update you on what might have happened. So in the evening, I started following Matroba. I just wanted to see if she will go home or if she will divert somewhere else, then I will talk to her. Yeah. So just we went, and she didn't know. She thought, I mean, she's going home, I'm going home. And then 100 meters to her home, she diverted into a sugarcane plantation.
Okay.
And when I saw that, I was like, Matroba, where are you going? And she looked behind and she saw me and she started running. And I started running after her. And then in this sugarcane plantation, I was like, Matroba, I can't keep on doing this. Stop. She stopped and I was like, okay, what is wrong? Why aren't you going home? She stripped off her dress. She had like bruises. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, okay, I'm not taking you home. I'm taking you with me. So we went to my house and I was like, okay, Matroba, what's the problem? She told me, I didn't know whom she was staying with, but that's when she told me that she was staying with a stepmother. And she had to wake up very early in the morning to do some chores, like, you know, clean the house, utensils, go sell milk, and then come to school. But that some days, you know, she was a child. She was just 8 years old.
Wow.
And then, you know, sometimes she would wake up late. And then she's like, I have to go to school. Then she would rush to school. Then that means she has not, you know, done what she's supposed to do at home. When she goes back home, there's no food, and she would be beaten. And that is why she had the bruises. I was like, oh, I was mad. And so I was like, okay, you are not going home. You'll spend the night with me. So in the morning, I woke up and prepared her, and she went to school. And I went to the chief, and I was like, oh.
What do you do?
Yeah. And I mean, from there was nothing to be done. But then I took that responsibility. I went to the children's department, and then that is how the issue of starting a children's home came into my...
Because basically when you went to them, they kind of laughed at you again. And they said, Rose, all of the kids are like this.
Yes.
Or a majority of the children are like this, which just broke your heart. And then that's when you knew, I have to start this school.
Yes.
Or I have to start the orphanage.
Yeah.
And give these kids a place to live.
Yes.
While they're going to school. And so they're not going hungry, they're not getting beaten. So that's sort of where that all happened. You had the school up and running.
Yes.
Now the orphanage takes root.
Yes. I went again. There was a house that I knew. The owners had passed on. I went and requested the brothers if they could rent the house out to me, and then they said yes. So the place was bushy. We cleared, and I called my boss. I was like, okay, I'm stuck. I'm in the rural areas. Maybe I need a soft loan. And he, good luck, at least he was like, yes. So he sent me some money. I paid for the rent. And I went bought like 1-inch mattresses and some cooking pots, you know, just to furnish the house. I didn't have money to buy beds. So I was like, I think they'll be comfortable with, the mattresses.
Yeah.
It is better than the sugar plantation.
Yeah.
And then I went, and my head teacher had told me that, Matoba is not the only one. We also have other children who go through such. And so, and he went ahead and showed me the children. And I approached the guardians. I told them I was taking the children in the orphanage.
So you approached the guardians?
To the children.
And you were taking the children into the little orphanage that you had created out of little mattresses and blankets and pots.
Yes.
Wow. So
the children were happy. And I stayed with them for some time. And when I was supposed to go back to work, there's a lady who accepted, to come and stay with them. And that is how I started the children's home. Wow.
So it's been up and running for quite some time, right?
Yes.
Since 2005, 2004 is kind of when it all happened.
Yes.
And now you've got, how many children now do you have in the home? And then how many children do you have in the school that come every day for school? And then they'll go back to their homes, but they come into school.
Yes. I have 82 children. In the children's home, those who are in primary school, just the age of like 0 to 14, there are 52. Wow. And then 30 are in high school.
And high school in Africa, it's more like boarding school. So if their grades are good enough in primary school, then they can go into high school.
Yes.
And it's almost like they're living there on the grounds, but they have to have good grades.
Yes.
A sponsor, there's a cost associated with that. It's not something that the government is supplying to every child. And then you've even had some kids graduate your school into the high school and have gone on to university?
Yes. Our first group of children, this is now their second year in the university, and we have 8 who have joined them in different fields.
And it's great because you have those kids come back.
Yes.
And speak to the current students.
Yes.
And words of encouragement, hang in there, study hard. Those types of things, that there are opportunities out there.
Yeah, I really wanted them to be together, and also the young ones to learn. We are not in the wrong place. By seeing those ones who have done well. And so I have a program. It's a mentorship and career development program. So every school holidays, we have 3. It's April, August, and December. So we have 2 weeks program, and whereby I invite the students, especially now those who are in university, to come and speak. And then I also invite other professionals like doctors, nurses, such, to come also and speak. And also I invite pastors from different churches to also come and just, mentor the children spiritually.
Yeah. And what is the curriculum they're getting? They're learning English. They're learning a skill, a trade. I know some of the girls are learning sewing. That they, as they move on, they can maybe go to Nairobi, other cities to, get jobs to support themselves. You also have an agricultural element where you have you've been able to purchase cows, which is helping to self-sustaining the school and the home, and then you're able to kind of sell some of the extra milk as well, and fish. You had someone come in and build ponds, which has been a huge blessing.
It has really been, because we have really relied on people sponsoring children, and that has been like our income. But we really wanted to look into, income generating activities. And so we have this dairy farming, and we have now 14 cows.
14 cows.
And we milk the cows, we feed the children, and the rest of the milk we sell. And then also we have a program because, our high schools, we pay fees. And then I was looking into it. Sometimes every time I have to fundraise to be able to pay school fees. But then I thought maybe there are times when I will not have, I will not fundraise. That means my children will not, have an opportunity to go to school, and especially high school. And so I started this program, cow program, whereby I brought like the guardians together and I shared with them. And my responsibility is to buy a cow. Their responsibility is to take care of the cow. And then what we do when the cow has calved, that is when we milk. And then 3 liters of the milk, they have to sell, bring the money to us so that we can save towards the school fees of that particular child. And then they are also not supposed to sell the calves. We are using, we are hoping that the calves will grow. When the children are ready now to join high school, we have money to start with, and then we can sell some of the calves to be able to pay their school fees. And then we get 1 calf from each guardian to give to another guardian. So it is working now. At least the first lot we have given out 20 cows. That means 20 guardians. And the cows have started calving. And so they have started milking the cows, and we've started seeing them bringing the money, at least with the one what they are selling from the milk. And we are hoping that we will be able also to give to other guardians so that the program can continue. And then the other thing is the fish ponds. We thank God, at least there are people who came, and we have the 2 fish ponds. We are hoping to harvest in December. So at least our children will have, they're excited.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So they'll have maybe 20% of the fish, and then the rest we can sell so that we can have some more money, at least for our children.
Yeah.
And we also have a trade school. We have some children who are slow learners. And I was thinking, because academically they might not be well, but then where will they go? So that is how the trade school thing came in. So what we do, we are just kind of pushing them so that they can finish the primary school. And then after they have finished, and then we watch them, what they like, and then we send them to the trade school. And at the trade school, we are offering building and construction, motor mechanic, hairdressing, and tailoring. Wow. And and this year we introduced welding. So we already have, Matroba is like my first daughter. When I was starting the children's home, she's there. She's doing design and dressmaking.
Yeah, and you got her as she was abandoned, and she was a week old when you.
No, Matroba is the one who was the first one.
The first one, right? But you did receive a child that was not even a week old, like 3 days old. So you're getting these kids that are, from infancy.
Yeah, when they're 2 hours old, 6 hours old. Wow. Yes.
That is amazing.
I'm looking forward to how they come up.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're giving them a good, stable environment, love, nurturing.
Yes.
And, check out their website. It's called Tumaini Miles of Smiles Center.org. and we'll have it down at the bottom of our screen that you can visit that. It's just an amazing an example of just being resourceful, compassionate, having a heart for other people, making your community a better place. And tell us what Tumaini means.
Tumaini is a Swahili word and it means hope.
Hope.
Yes.
How appropriate.
Yeah.
I was so excited when I learned that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we are like creating smiles and giving hope.
And these children
for the glory of God.
Yes, these children are beautiful, and the smiles on their face. And so, tell me, what greatest satisfaction do you get out of this? Because this is not easy. I mean, there were days when I'm sure you didn't know how things were going to get done, how the kids were going to be fed. But even though it is a hard, tough road, what keeps you going?
I mean, it's not easy, but what keeps me going is what I see in the lives of these children, the difference. The difference in the lives of the children compared from the day when they came to me and years, that keeps me going. Yeah. When I look at those ones who are now in the university, it keeps me going. It keeps me just saying yes to the children that are coming. Yeah. And other things are also by grace. I'm a prayerful woman. I wake up at 3, and that is my time to pray. And that has really kept me going. God has really been faithful.
Wow. Yes, He has.
Yes.
Well, I am just amazed at your story. It is unbelievable how you've gone from absolutely nothing and you've built this into something for the glory of God. Amen. And the light that these children have now that they didn't before. You are the epitome of hope, and it doesn't matter what lot we're given in life. We can always do something. Even if we think we have nothing, there is always hope. So what I can just encourage is, like, sometimes we want to have more to give, but it is not like that. I was earning less than $100, but this has made a big difference in our community. And I just want to say, if you're interested in sponsoring a child, for $35 a month, you can sponsor a child at the Tumaini Orphanage and Home. So visit their website. Rose, you are a gem. We need more people in this world like you, and we're so grateful that you've come here and shared your hope with us.
I thank God for using me in that way. And I'm hoping that many will come. We join hands together for His glory.
Yes.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose.
Amen.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.